We be live. Hello.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I had a good day today. I went to Carnival, so I'm kind of like all like I'm just feeling some rhythm in me.
All right, guys. We're gonna be covering the news. We have 10 news items, like usual. Most of them, I think, all of them are about atheism, religion, and sometimes a little bit of culture and politics, but mostly religion. I see you already have some comments highlighted before we get started. So
Yes, I just thought this was cute. Music guy is saying news on God's resting day heresy. And Secular Rarity saying, what's this? Oh, snap. It's Atheist Republic news, y'all.
I like how you read them. Also, people are confirming that the audio is good. Oh, hello, D. Let's see. Read it.
D is saying, hello, AR family.
Yes. And thank you guys for confirming that the news is good. Oh, also, we're on Twitch as well. Forever Stormy, always on Twitch. Good reminder, if you want to follow us on Twitch, we're also there. Anyways, we should get started on the news. Can we... Oh, unless you want to add anything else, or are we good? Overall, the news is like good. Like, yeah, please.
It's like a pretty even mixture today. But please make sure to like this stream and subscribe. It really helps our channel grow and helps more people join our community, which we really love. Yes. So we can clap for this first news.
First news.
Islamic charity shut down by UK government for promoting violence in the United Kingdom. On May 23rd, the Charity Commission for England and Wales ordered Islamic Research Foundation International, or IRFI, to shut down after finding that IRFI had funded TV programming that promoted violence. The National Secular Society, or NSS, had expressed concerns about IRFI since 2018 in an open letter to the Charity Commission. Peace TV, a television program involved with the IRFI, was reprimanded in 2012 by broadcasting regulator Ofcom after world-renowned, world-famous Islamic preacher Dr. Zakir Naik said that he tended to agree that Muslims should be executed if they leave Islam and tried to proselytize a different religion, quote unquote, against Islam.
YouTube, just to be clear, these are not our views. We're just covering the news. None of this we agree with. So there goes that. Okay, so please do not strike us down, but go on.
We are reporting on the views of other people. In 2020, Zakir Naik's Peace TV and Peace TV Urdu were fined £300,000 for, quote, broadcasting hate speech and incitement to commit murder, end quote. According to the National Secular Society, they also had a long line of very controversial speakers, like Bilal Phillips, who the U.S. government named as a co-conspirator in the September 11th attacks. According to the Charity Commission, the IRFI's remaining funds of almost £58,000 has been transferred to 3 charities, quote, with similar objectives.
Okay, so I don't understand. Can you break this down? Zakir Naik, was he? This is in the UK. What does this got to do with him?
So I believe he's actually been banned from the UK.
Okay.
But so Zakir Naik is maybe the world's most famous Islamic preacher, and he is known because of his, quote unquote, ironically, Peace TV is the name of his network. And so this charity called the Islamic Research Foundation International was associated or provided funding or services to Peace TV. And because Peace TV, this is what I find interesting, is they got shut down because they were promoting violence against ex-Muslims, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a question: Were they doing this in the UK or on channels that they have that is associated with their charity? YouTube channel.
I actually don't know where Peace TV is based out of or where they film.
Here's a question: like, I mean, their hadith books says that as well, right? Like, you have, there are books within these mosques and these Islamic centers that advocates for the same thing. That this is part of Islamic scripture. So, are you going to? So, I don't understand how this works then, because if a preacher says that, then are you going to make the Islamic charity, you're going to shut it down and take all their money? Well, technically, every Islamic charity, if it's associated with a mosque or a, Islamic teaching center, they have books, they have scripture that advocates for exactly that. So I don't understand. If you have like a preacher on a YouTube channel saying that, you're going to shut them down. But if they have books that teaches that, and you're teaching those books, then like, what is the line? Because based on this standard, every single Islamic center needs to be shut down.
They were shut down because they were funding TV programs which incited violence and murder. So it was the funding of the broadcasting of these messages.
So what if you're funding book publication that teaches the same thing?
You bring a good point.
Because Islamic hadith teaches exactly that. So basically the red line, you cannot fund a TV channel that advocates that, but you can fund a book. So basically, are you saying that if the funding goes towards, if you want to promote hate, make sure you put it in a book and not in a TV channel? Is that what this red line is?
I'm not familiar with the
red
lines of UK
I know.
charitable law. But this is a good point.
Yeah, because I mean, what he's saying is Islamic teaching. Like, he's not saying anything that is outside of Islam. This is verbatim in Islamic hadith. So I'm just saying, if you want to apply the standard to shutting down a charity, then every single, I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know if this is the path. Am I committing a slippery slope fallacy? If I am committing a slippery slope fallacy, then you're telling me that you should spreading hate towards TV channels not okay, but books are okay. So
so PK is saying not really. It depends on if they're preaching directly or indirectly that stuff.
Okay, so they can have it in a book. But you shouldn't teach it. You should not be teaching that book. So if you open that book, if you want to like, hey, let's read some Islamic hadith, and you open it and you read that part where it says like ex-Muslims need to go choppy on their heads, right? Like, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't have read that. You should just have it in the book and other people could read it, but nobody should have read it out loud in a mosque. Is that the red line? I don't understand. It's weird.
You're such a stickler for consistency. How dare you?
Okay, whatever the laws are, what do you think the lines should be? Do you agree with the shutting down of this charity? Do you think that was a good thing that they did?
Yes, because they also had other violations of the charitable law in the UK.
Okay, no, you're that's cheating. What if this was their only thing? What if like they had no other violation, but they were funding TV channels that directly said it's okay to go choppy on ex-Muslims?
Yeah, that's incitement to violence. Okay.
So what about having hadith books that is inciting violence? What about having scripture that incites violence? Is that okay? I mean, not okay. I mean, is that like, should we? Obviously, it's not okay. But should that be something that you shut down a mosque or an Islamic group or whatever? Oh, Nagar is. Yeah.
That depends. I don't know why, but this is not a logical argument. I feel like things are different in print. Like, because I wouldn't say, oh, you just ban this material outright, because it can be useful for the purposes of objective study to look at that kind of material.
Okay, but in an Islamic teaching center, it's not objective. You're promoting it, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
we don't want to. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
No, this is very important to think about. I mean, I think incitement to violence is not covered under free speech. So to be consistent, the answer would be yes. Now, the reason why I'm pausing is because in reality, I don't think that can be enforced because of religious freedom laws. So I'm like, part of my hang up is like, well, how would we actually make that happen? I don't know. I feel like there'd be too many roadblocks.
People are
pretty challenging.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying from a pragmatic perspective, no, broadcasts reach more than books. So I guess like maybe you could put that red line there. We're like, hey, you could have your hate in your books, but don't put it on a YouTube channel or on a TV. Maybe that's the red line. Yeah.
Secular Rarity is saying, come on, Armin, rolling eyes. Everyone knows that books can't spread hate or violence, only YouTube videos and podcasts.
I mean, technically that's, I mean, not to that, I know that's a joke, but books are harder, especially books that are scripture are harder to spread. Like you do have to put it in a YouTube format. Maybe that could, I'm not saying, I'm not being an all or not. I'm not saying, oh, if you ban that, you have to ban the other things. Maybe that could be the red line, and maybe that could be the justification. The justification is like, hey, scripture doesn't, is not, if you don't translate it in an easier, consumable way for people on YouTube, maybe that's where the line, where we draw the line. Yeah, why not?
PK is saying no one reads books. I think it's better if you just say no one reads. No one even knows how to read. I don't know how to read.
No, I mean that's technically true because the Hadith books are in very difficult Arabic, you know, even so traditional.
That's actually
Arabic.
A good point with the Hadith in particular. Because it's so much more difficult if it's in written form to go search out that information versus like clips online.
Think about the percentage of people who actually are Muslims who read the Quran with the understanding of what they're reading. Okay, that's a very, very low percentage. Okay, even among Arab-speaking Muslims, when they read the Quran, they're reciting the Quran. They're not actually reading the Quran, right? And I mean, even not many Muslims even recite the Quran, right? You know, unless but that's a very, very small percentage of Muslims that do that with the Quran. Imagine how many of them do that with the Hadith, right? It's like,
oh yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's less than 1%. I would not be surprised. Okay, less than 1%. Okay, so yeah, very, very, very likely that it's less than 1% for me, at least, unless there's other data that shows otherwise. But if you put that in a video format, then yeah, obviously that's going to spread. Honestly, I'm not that. I wouldn't be that mad for people to put the Hadith in a video format. I think if you tell more Muslims that Islam teaches you that it's okay to go choppy on ex-Muslims, right? I think that doesn't produce radicals. I think that produces ex-Muslims. You know, this is why people are like, oh, you're teaching radicalism. No, you're teaching people why to leave Islam. That's what you're teaching them. I honestly think that, you know, that's why I say I give Muslims a lot more credit than a lot of people, than a lot of Muslims seems to do. Like, oh, yeah, don't teach them these violent parts, or don't teach them that. Armin, you're like Daesh, you're like ISIS, because you're telling them the Quran means this, and then now you're going to turn them into radicals. Like, no, they're going to leave Islam when they learn about the, Islam, the true meaning of these verses. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I think. Forever Storm is saying Armin is arguing all sides at the same time. Yes. First, like, we should ban it. No, we should spread it even more because it produces more ex-Muslims.
The duality of man.
Anyways,
Okay, we definitely cannot clap for the next news. This is maybe the worst news this week. It's very sad.
The worst news this week? Okay.
Possibly.
Okay. Damn. Okay, let's see what it is. Next news.
Okay, next news. Indian man killed on quote-unquote suspicion of being Muslim. So I'm going to give the background first and then dive into what happened. On May 19th, police in Neemuch, Western Madhya Pradesh, retrieved an unidentified dead body stored in a freezer. The body was eventually identified as the mentally disabled 65-year-old Banwarlal Jain. Jain's family had filed a missing persons report to their local police on May 17th. According to Banwarlal's brother Rakesh, Banwarlal was not, quote, stable enough to marry, but he could go about his daily routine. It is believed that he got lost and disoriented while leaving a religious event and ended up in the wrong village in his attempt to return home. Initially, the cause of Jain's death was unknown, but a video of a man beating Jain helped identify the possible reason for Jain's death. In the video, Dinesh Kushwaha, a former party worker of the Hindu nationalist BJP party, can be seen roughing up Jain while asking him if he is a Muslim. Quote, "Is your name Muhammad?" Kushwaha can be heard asking as he proceeded to slap Jain multiple times while demanding to see his government-issued identification card. On May 21st, Dinesh Kushwaha was arrested by the Madhya Pradesh police. Rajneesh Argwal, the state secretary of the BJP, called Jain's death an unfortunate incident and dismissed Kushwaha's connection to the BJP.
So wait, so was his name Muhammad? Like he changed his name? No, okay. So they suspect, yeah.
Go ahead.
So the guy who killed him suspected that he had changed his name as a way to hide his Muslim background?
No. So it's not entirely clear what led up to this, but people have theorized that this victim was mentally handicapped in some capacity. And they said maybe this perpetrator heard Jain, that's his last name, he is from the Jain community, heard Jain say something that maybe sounded like Muhammad. And then he started to assault him and was slapping him around saying, "Is your name Muhammad? Like, what's your name? What's your name? Show me your identification card," blah, 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 like demanding to prove like his name, because his name would obviously carry information about what community he comes from, right? But he's someone who's like mentally disoriented, like he was being assaulted and he couldn't like speak clearly. He was clearly looking very confused, didn't understand what was happening to him, and couldn't respond. Meanwhile, this man is berating him about like having a Muslim name.
I mean, there's so many people with Muslim names in India. What the, like, is this guy reacting to all of them this way? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's so many Muhammads in India. Like, why is he all of a sudden, like, did he just wake up and meet the first Muhammad he ever, how could he go through his, if he's reacting like this to one Muhammad, how is he like walking in India? Like in India, there's Muhammads everywhere. I don't understand. Wait, no, seriously, like, I don't understand. Maybe I don't
like, this is the, okay, this speaks to like the level of like escalation of communal violence, or what the temperature in some areas is like, where this man was allegedly killed on the mere suspicion of being a Muslim, let alone like actually being one, right? Like, that speaks to how stigmatized and dangerous coming from this background can be in many places around the country. Like, think about that for a moment. It's insane. And his brother even came out and said, like, even if he was a Muslim, this is completely immoral. This is wrong.
Really? Are you?
Yeah,
really?
It needs to be said at this point.
Oh my god. Forever Stormy has a hypothesis.
Forever Stormy is saying he probably wandered into some gated Hindu community. Based on the reports I've heard, that wasn't entirely clear. Forever Stormy is saying India has gated communities where only some religious people are allowed. Isn't that against the Constitution?
I mean, you're speaking
based on my understanding of the Indian Constitution. That's patently illegal. I don't know.
I mean, I think Indians treat their constitution like toilet paper. Like, I mean, they don't. Though seriously, they don't like. A lot of Indians, not all of them. Like they like. It doesn't really matter. There's so many things there on Indian law that is like in direct opposition to the constitution, and not like. And if you want to challenge it, you have to like spend like multiple decades, and then maybe just get disappointed at the very end. Like,
as an American, I can relate.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's even worse than the United States. Like, it's really difficult to challenge unconstitutional laws in India.
No, I know. Yeah, especially because of how overburdened the court system is. Shriyash Singh is saying Madhya Pradesh has a 6% Muslim population. I'm not surprised he's never met one. We don't know if he's never met one, but that might speak to Armin's theory of like, why would you have such a strong reaction?
Yes, he's Forever Stormy is confirming what I said.
Yeah, Stormy is saying, yes, it is against the law, but no one seems to care. Damn.
Oh, wow. This is harsh.
Stormy is saying Indians were gifted the Constitution. They never earned it. What do you think about that, Armin?
Yeah, I think there are certain countries where they got structures and formats that were somewhat ahead of their own average people. And I say that about Iran as well. You know, I mean, some people say, I mean, I don't know if it's true. Some people say like maybe like Muhammad Reza Shah was ahead of his time, for example, for Iran.
He liberalized too fast.
Yeah. And maybe like the people haven't yet caught up to like India, you know, India got a really good framework, especially relative to Pakistan, for example, right? Like it got a really good framework of law and secularism and constitution and everything, right? But I think the people the average hasn't got yet up to that level. And that's why now the people are dragging it a little bit back. But they're dragging it back, but people are also progressing to get to that level. I hope, like, I think the next generation is like showing its capacity to be able to get to that level. You know what I mean? Like maybe you could say that about India today, but I think the future, against everything, against all the news that we're covering, I'm still optimistic about the future of India.
Yeah. One thing that makes me so mad about this story is how the BJP has tried to distance themselves from this horrible incident, because they're like saying, oh, you know, who is this guy? We don't even know him, but he's literally married. He's not only did he used to be a worker for the party, like a campaigner, but his wife is a local BJP leader.
You want to tell people what do you explain to people what BJP is before the new ones here?
Well, I kind of said it in the summary of the news, but the BJP,
yeah, you did. Okay,
is the ruling party of India right now, and is, I would say, pretty explicitly, Hindu nationalist.
All right. Can we? So this was the worst. So we don't have to deal with stuff like this anymore for the rest of the day.
There's some things that are bad, but not in the same. Not as brutal. Not as brutal.
Good. We got that out of the way. Now we could like be a little bit less upset for the rest of the news. Okay. Can we clap for? Do you guys hear some echo of my voice, or is it just me? I'm asking the live chat. Let me know. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
We don't like this, but we can clap.
Next news.
Taliban.
No, wait. Wait. We don't like this, but still, we can clap.
You're so extra. Next news. Taliban orders female newscasters to cover their faces. On May 22nd, the Taliban reinstated an old law that requires female news anchors to cover their faces. Proof of this new law was seen on air as female news anchors were seen with masks, just enabling their eyes to be seen across all popular news channels in the country. TOLO news anchor Farida Sial told the BBC, quote, "It's very difficult for a presenter to cover their face for 2 or 3 hours consecutively and talk like that." Many male actors, many male anchors took a stand in solidarity with their female colleagues by also wearing masks in their news reports and using the hashtag #FreeHerFace. An Afghan women's rights activist, Mina Sharif, tweeted, quote, "Afghan men showing up for Afghan women is not just a gesture. It's a turn in the story that will change everything. Bravo, brothers."
This is so they're using the masks from the pandemic now to be able to cover their faces. But yeah, but the men are wearing covering for their news as well, just to be like, we're gonna be, if you're gonna make the woman do this, the men are gonna do this as well.
Yeah, although what's kind of funny is that if you didn't know the background of this news, you'd just be like, oh, they're following like protocol, disease protocol.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, hold on, let's go back to this. But people are saying that this was expected. People in the live chat are like, we knew it. This is what's going to happen. At first they're going to say, they said it's the new Taliban is different from the old Taliban, but we're now seeing that the new Taliban is the same as the old Taliban. But to be honest, it's still very different than the old Taliban. Like,
explain.
Yeah. Like, this is not okay. Like, what we're seeing right now would not have been okay at all for. I mean, she doesn't have a burqa.
Oh,
I mean, she's working on the TV. Wait a minute, what am I talking about? She's an anchor. Like, oh yeah,
she's being seen by other men, and she's working,
and she has a job. So, okay, guys, this is really bad. Okay, I'm not saying this is not bad. Okay, but it's still very different from Taliban 20 years ago. People think, like, I say this as an endorsement as Taliban today, like, hey guys, don't be so mean to Taliban. I'm not saying that. Okay. But again, as bad as this
who is telling you don't be so mean to Taliban? Who is saying that?
On the Persian side, people think I'm making excuses. And also here, people think I'm a secret Islamist Wahhabi. I don't know, Taqiyya. But anyways, never mind. I don't want to get into that. But this is still very different. She's covering her face and she's working. Taliban before, we were like, why is she? She shouldn't even be in the streets, let alone on TV in front of all these men.
You can hear her voice.
I mean, look at their eyes. Those are nice eyes. Okay? Like, you don't know what I'm doing in private looking at her eyes. I could just watch. Yeah, you could just watch. I could just watch the news and just do weird things while looking at her eyes. Like, you don't know that. Taliban thinks that men, anyways. Like, but the fact that this is available to all men to see in private is like not okay. Like, what the hell? Like, think about a Taliban that thinks that you shouldn't even be in public without your guardian. Okay. And now this woman with her eyes naked is available to everybody on their TV screen. And the fact that she even has a job, women shouldn't be having jobs. Men should have jobs. Right, women should be like cooking and cleaning and taking care of the babies. That's the understanding. So,
you just said her eyes are naked.
I'm giving you. I'm trying to put the Taliban perspective for you. Like, right? I'm just. That's the point of burqa.
I know.
The burqa makes it so that you can't even see her eyes. I mean, look, she she obviously, this is not like she takes care of it. Like, this is like has makeup and everything. She has lashes and plucks her eyebrows and stuff. So that's like, for some people that's good enough, and Taliban knows that. Yeah, I mean, I bet you there's a lot of Taliban people that can't believe that, you know, we're like, a lot of people like, they're like, oh my God, they're making you cover their faces. But I bet you there's a lot of Taliban people that think like, wait, we're letting them have a job and they still think we're being excessive? Like they're shocked from the other direction. They're like, are they serious? Like the fact that we're not stoning them already is like, we're being so tolerant. Like I'm exaggerating with the stoning. Okay, that was an
What
exaggeration.
more could you ask from us?
What more could you ask for? The woman, like, we're like being so, we're getting attacked by our own people for being so liberal that they are letting women have a job, and you're telling us that we can't even get them to cover their faces? Like, the audacity of you guys! Like, that's what they're thinking. So,
yeah.
anyways,
yeah. I mean, no, I understand what you mean. This is a funny comment. Mogambo is saying, relatively progressive Taliban.
Too progressive.
That's
guys,
really what it is.
This is too progressive for a lot of their members. This is way too progressive. That's why some of them are leaving Taliban. They're like, this is not what we fought for. We gave martyrs. We gave martyrs to bring Islamic law, and you're letting women have a job? And so Taliban is like worried about their people within them, like leaving and joining ISIS-K, right? They're like, so they have to be like, how do we liberalize to the extent where the international community recognizes us, so we can finally start trading and make some money, but not liberalize too far for our own members to turn back against us and for Taliban to break apart from within. So they're in a dilemma right now. This is like, oof.
Here's the thing. I don't think there's any way to have both.
No.
There's no way to have an equilibrium that will meet the standards of both. It's impossible.
Okay, somebody said woke Taliban, and then like,
Wokiban. This is the Wokistani Mujahideen we've been talking about, Armin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dornav has a good comment here in the tweet as well.
Dornav is saying, Taliban, we fought to give everyone a terrible life. This isn't what we signed up for.
This is not terrible life. This is, yeah, anyways.
So crazy. Well, I mean, okay, so we've kind of seen things go on a downward, by our standards, a downward decline. What do you think we're going to see moving forward?
It might get a lot worse. Okay, so we have new reports that Taliban is back at it with working directly with Al Qaeda. So that's yeah. So that's like
Habibi.
Yeah. So there might end up in a cycle. So all of this is going to lead to poverty, and poverty is going to lead to more radicalization, and then we're going to enter into that cycle. So. And that's a down, and the problem is that cycle might end up breaking the fabric of how society works, and that will what everybody is trying to avoid is a failed state. You know what I mean? And 10 years down the road, nobody wants to see that. Not the international community doesn't want to see that. Taliban doesn't want to see that, and most importantly, the neighbors of Afghanistan don't want to see that. Oh, and also Russia and China don't want. This is something that maybe China, Russia, and United States can agree on. Nobody wants to see a failed state in Afghanistan. But
do you think they would even? Part of me thinks maybe they wouldn't even let it get that far. Like, yeah, I don't even think they would let that happen.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, how? It's hard to stop it. We'll see. But yeah, maybe all the interest, everybody being in line with not wanting to see that, maybe that will what's going to stop it. Maybe like eventually people are going to be like, there's too much economic interest here at stake for us to let you screw this up this massively, right? Like, so maybe that will eventually do something. But it's just such a mess that I don't know how they can. I'm trying to imagine how they're going to fix it. I can't imagine how, but maybe because it's too much at stake, they will figure out something.
So cynical. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just the resources that Afghanistan has that everybody wants, right? Especially rare earth metals.
No, it's the threat to their own economic stability.
It's also a threat to the stability of neighboring countries and also trade routes that everybody desperately needs right now.
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go to the next news.
Can we clap?
Yeah.
Next news.
Next news. A shocking report of sexual abuse in Southern Baptist Church rocks nation. So recently, an investigation revealed that several top members of the Southern Baptist Church or Southern Baptist Convention were found to have minimized, ignored, and even vilified sexual abuse survivors who came forward for help. This bombshell report has significant implications as the SBC is the largest denomination of Protestants in the United States. The 7-month investigative report states that the abuse survivors' emails and phone calls were, quote, only to be met time and time again with resistance, stonewalling, and even outright hostility by church leaders. Further evidence emerged from this investigation that detailed specific abuse cases and shed light on how denominational leaders actively resisted calls for abuse prevention for decades. The nearly 300-page report shows that SBC members were informed that compiling a database of offenders goes against the denomination's policies. However, the SBC leaders secretly kept a sex offenders list, which dated back to the 1960s, while keeping it classified to avoid possible litigation. After being exposed in public, SBC administrative leaders said that they would make the secret list public, revealing hundreds of church personnel and pastors accused as sex offenders. Many survivors who had been working for decades to hold the institution accountable feel that this report is, quote, just the tip of the iceberg. So this is a very big news story that happened. And this is a very big deal because, like I said, the SBC is the largest Protestant denomination in the United States. They have right now somewhere between 13 to 15 million members. Although it's important to note that over the past decade, their membership has steeply declined and it's continuing to go into decline. And, you know, people might say, oh, shocking, like, you know, this kind of abuse happening in a church. But this is a bit different because this isn't the Catholic Church. This is not a hierarchical institution in the same way the Catholic Church is. It operates very differently. It has more of a democratic structure than the Catholic Church does. So you would think that this might allow for there to be better instances of, or maybe better mechanisms for addressing these problems. But interestingly enough, this different form of hierarchy actually enabled it in a very different way. Because when people would go to the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention, or if they would go to, you know, the higher, like the next level within their region or their state, etc., the bodies within the Southern Baptist Convention that had the more authority to address these problems said, oh, well, we can't do that because then we're violating our policies on local church autonomy. Because, like I said, they don't have the same level of control. It's more democratic. So they're saying, oh, well, then we can't actually do that because then we'd be violating their ability to operate on their own. So they used this to try to protect like the central aspect of the institution. And people have fought for a really, really long time for this to come out. This story is literally decades in the making. I've seen, because I follow a lot of religious news channels and stuff, I've seen the buildup for this for a really long time. And we never talked about it because it was a little bit of minutia for, within the inner workings of this one particular denomination. But then this really holistic account dropped, and it's been huge news in the US, particularly because in the atheist community, so many people come from the Southern Baptist Convention denomination of Protestantism and evangelicism. So yeah, this is very, very important. Armin, your reaction?
Is there any arrests?
There have been individuals who have arrest histories. There are individuals who have sex offender histories, and then the churches would not inform each other as they were moved around the nation, even though people knew about it. Has there been new arrests because of this? Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. One of the really big, some people are saying the most damning part of this report is that the former president of the Southern Baptist Convention had credible accusations of sexual assault laid against him. And this investigative report went into detail investigating the former president of the SBC, and they said that they did not find any of his claims about that incident to be credible at all, which is very significant. So this was also occurring at the highest levels of this denomination.
Okay, well, this just came out, right? So it could lead to arrest. Oh, wait. Right? Like, potentially. Hopefully.
I don't know, because I don't know about the statute of limitations in various jurisdictions.
What if it doesn't lead to any arrest? Like, what the hell? Like, this is like a whole bunch of abuse, and they got unearthed, and it doesn't lead into. It should lead to arrest. Like, we want a lot of arrests. Like, this is like a lot of abuse. How could it not lead to arrest? I mean, if it doesn't lead to arrest, that means that there's something seriously wrong.
No, what's interesting is that there were people who were serial abusers. They would get arrested, they would serve their time, and then resume their pastoral work once they got out of jail.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So you're like, where are the arrests? I'm like, a lot of these people were continuously arrested, and they were continuously allowed to have access to a congregation, which also included children. Like,
I mean, is there not laws around that? Like, can't you, like, when somebody's has a history like that, aren't there laws that they can't have a job like that makes children exposed to them or whatever?
In a lot of situations, yes. But if people don't necessarily know about your history, they don't know to enforce that law on you.
Okay, well, now their page is out, so these people should not. I don't know. I don't understand. No,
I get it.
Wrong. There's something wrong with your country, Susie. Just accept it. There's something wrong. It's broken. Fix it. Wait, hold on. There's a good comment here.
Well, it's difficult because, no, this is more of an internal structural thing of this organization, because a lot of these people did meet the consequences for their actions according to the law, but then they did not face the consequences for their actions within this organization.
Okay, well, an organization like that, where it puts children at risk with people that they have the information they need, maybe to know that they have a history, then the organization as a whole needs to be shut down. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh my God, the way that they would talk about victims was insane. There were emails from top leaders who literally said that people coming forward about what they experienced was satanic whispers that are distracting them from their duty of promoting discipleship.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. So there's a lot of really bad stuff in there like that, where it's beyond like discrediting them. It's to literally demonizing them.
They're saying, oh, wait. I misunderstood that. I thought you said like their urges to do these disgusting things, they call that satanic or satanic whispers.
No.
The people who are calling them out, they call that satanic whispers.
Not even people who are advocates calling them out. The victims.
The victims speaking and complaining, they call that satanic whispers.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Influenced by Satan to distract them from their true mission and their duty to build the discipleship of Christ.
So they abuse children. I thought that the voices that make
a lot of grown women too.
Okay.
I think that was directed towards an adult.
They abuse people, sexually abuse people. I thought they were like, oh, sorry, Satan made me do it. But this is actually even worse. They abuse people, and then when the people sexually abuse people, and then when the victims comes and like, hey, I would like to file a complaint because I was sexually abused, they refer to that complaint as satanic whispers who are distracting them from doing their job. Are these people like
literally demonizing victims?
Oh, there's never been more literal than this.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's horrible. And what's interesting is what you were saying, you know, with your outrage, you're saying, Susie, fix your country, blah, blah, blah. Because you clearly want to see consequences, right? And you want to see, you know, real tangible actions that are being taken to prevent this from happening again. And what's interesting, you should say that because a lot of survivors are coming forward and they have the exact same sentiment as you, Armin. They're saying, okay, like this report exposing all this is good. We already knew this, but I want the public and I want just the ordinary congregant member to understand this. But there has been nothing expressed that actually shows here is our plan to change. This is what we're willing to do. This is how we're going to make sure that this happens as little as possible and how we are going to correct like the ways that we would actively cover up these instances. Because the problem is, and I thought this was really interesting, I read a lot of articles about this today, was that because the SPC has this kind of democratic structure, it means that a lot of decision-making ultimately goes to lawyers that are on the payroll, and the lawyers are not answerable to the congregants. They're not answerable to like these delegates. They're answerable to the institution as a legal entity. So their motivation is to protect that legal entity from liability. And so all of the actions that people have been fighting for decades were being shot down by lawyers within the SBC who are saying, no, we can't have a database that tracks people within our denomination if they do this kind of crime to make sure that they don't just move to somewhere else on the other side of the country. We can't do that because that opens us up to liability. So we're just going to like look the other way. You know, so that kind of attitude led this to fester for decades.
I have two comments that we should read.
Forever Stormy is saying, even Satan is like, don't dump this on me, dude.
And here. Oh.
And Doorknob had, can I say? I can't say any of this, Armin.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
This is YouTube. These are all YouTube trigger words.
Okay, never mind. That's sorry. It was a good one.
Speaking of YouTube trigger words, please make sure to like this video, share this if you know people who are interested in this kind of thing, because YouTube really, really hates the SA word or SA phrase, and we said that about 1 million times in this segment, which is going to shoot down this whole stream in this segment like into deprioritized 9th circle of hell. So please like this video.
Hey, I like that phrase. We should use that, the deprioritized 9th circle of hell. That's good. That's good. I like it.
This is part of the problem with what we do at Atheist Republic, because these are really important stories to cover. There are a lot of people in our community who come from these backgrounds. They want to see these kinds of stories reflected in the content that they consume or in their community that they're a part of. And we talk about it, even though it's so controversial. It's really not controversial. It's just phrases and words that YouTube hates because they're bad for advertisers. And so we don't grow, even though we cover really important stuff. So that is my appeal to you as an audience, please support our work. If you cannot afford to support our work via Patreon or PayPal, please just throw us a like. It's free, and it takes less than a second.
Okay, you confused a lot of people. ABC is saying, what is SA phrase? And Sorgu is saying SA, question mark. And I don't know what this is. Don't know if it's like SA word, question mark. What is this?
Sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla. Oh,
I think SA is like sexual assault, right? No? Is that what that?
Well, why would you repeat it?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sexual abusadamente.
Yeah. Oh. Can we clap for the next news?
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is interesting. Next news.
Next news. Indian Muslim youth group pushes for law preventing quote-unquote Islamophobia. In Kerala, India, a statewide youth caravan by Solidarity Youth Movement Kerala seeks legislation to prevent Islamophobia by demanding legal protections for Muslims from hate crimes. According to Jamaat-e-Islami National Secretary Malik Motasim Khan, quote, Islamophobic campaigns are barring Muslims from economic rights, political rights, and democratic rights. In recent years, anti-Muslim sentiments have been growing in India. A genocide expert predicted that genocide against Muslims is becoming increasingly likely. Many members of the Indian Muslim community feel the brunt of overt economic boycotts of their businesses based on their religious identity. Muslim shopkeepers and businessmen have increasingly become subject to attacks by Hindu far-right groups since Prime Minister Modi came to power in 2014. So I thought that this was interesting because, I want to talk about this mainly because I wanted to bring this news mainly as just like a point of discussion. So this is interesting to me because they're campaigning against Islamophobia and they want legislation against quote-unquote Islamophobia. And we have a lot of problems with that term, Islamophobia. Personally, I think it's BS. But the contention is that Muslims in India are legitimately facing starkly and very quickly rising crimes of levels of hate, bigotry, hate speeches, incitement to violence, and, like I said, overt and purposeful economic boycott of them simply because of their religious background. So they are facing legitimate and empirically measurable forces of hate and disenfranchisement. So, which is worth campaigning against. It's worth campaigning for their protection against these forces, right?
Okay, so
what do you think about this?
So I agree that there's a lot of anti-Muslim bigotry in India, okay? And it would seem us being too pedantic over the term. Like, people are like, okay, Armin, you guys have reported so much discrimination and hate and violence against Muslims that are happening in India. So they are calling it by a name that you don't like. Who gives a crap? It's not as important as actually fighting the thing that we need to be fighting, like, which is anti-Muslim bigotry, right? I don't know if it needs a specific legislation. I don't know if it just requires just enforcing the already legislation that exists, or it requires a new legislation. I don't know. Maybe it requires new legislation. Maybe no. We just need to focus on trying to enforce the ones that you already have. Because I'm not familiar with it, I can't. But is it worth getting hung up over the name? It might seem like it's not, but it might actually be worth it, okay? Because the term Islamophobia, okay, so here's the thing. If as a Muslim, you think like the term Islamophobia doesn't have any issue, okay? At least from a strategic perspective, call it anti-Muslim bigotry. Okay? Because the word Islamophobia has lost the propaganda battle, right? When you talk about Islamophobia, people think that you are talking about you protecting yourself from emotional damage when we criticize
Shut up.
Muhammad. From when we criticize Muhammad or the Quran, and people think like you're being ridiculous. Islamophobia is not a thing, and people should be able to attack Islam. Okay,
Yes.
even if you're referring to something that is important that needs to be stopped. Okay, and if you think that term Islamophobia is the right term for it, at least from a strategic perspective, call it anti-Muslim bigotry or call it Muslim hate or something like that, right? Get rid of the term Islamophobia. Okay, we don't like it because we don't think like that attacking Islam is a bad thing. If we think attacking Muslims are a bad thing, right? But if you think we're being pedantic and that's not that important of a difference, for your own reason, for your own interest, and for your own self-interest, call it something else. Because a lot of people, like from our perspective, you shouldn't use the term Islamophobia because we want to be able to do whatever we want with Islam and then protect Muslim rights, right? We're like, a Muslim can be like, well, we don't like that. We don't like that fact that you're attacking Islam. So why should we not call it Islamophobia? Okay, from your perspective, it is being sensitive about Islamophobia is ridiculed. It's seen as you being butthurt over nothing. That's why you shouldn't call it Islamophobia. That's why you should call it anti-Muslim bigotry. More people, including us right here, will unite with you, will work with you, including many other people, even critics of Islam, many people who hate Islam or anti-Islam might actually support you if you call it by something else. So names do matter because this is not just a legal fight that you're fighting. This is also hearts and minds fight that you're fighting. You want to get people to support you. So call it by something that will get more support. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. And someone in the live chat was bringing up the very good point that this will actually, I can't find it now, but this will actually empower the far right. One, because the far right will say, oh, look, like they are, they're trying to demand like appeasement. They're trying to ask for special privileges. And then it will also empower the far right because they have co-opted this whole idea of the phobia. Now they will empower and legitimize their ideas about Hindu phobia as well by like popularizing that term and thinking about things in that way, like reducing it to this little term. They could just throw it back out in their face too.
We're called Hindu phobes for simply like criticizing Hindu scripture.
Yeah, like it's exactly what would happen to
copying
you 15 years ago.
Yeah, you're being copied. Okay, and you won't like it. You won't like it because you're gonna be called Hindu phobes simply for preaching Islam. Like you're gonna notice how problematic this line of thinking is. Right?
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said earlier. I think it's also I would not I don't know enough about the laws in this particular area to know if what is already on the books is not sufficient. I know that Kerala already has a proportionally large Muslim population in comparison to many other parts of the country. And which is partially why the ex-Muslim movement is exploding in Kerala, which I love to see. It's one of the most vibrant in the country. Anyways, if I was doing this, I would work towards actually campaigning around raising awareness about what rights are available to the community on the basis of what's in the area, like finding lawyers who would take up cases pro bono and advocating for proper enforcement of laws against discrimination and violence and hate speech, etc. But I think there are many legitimate concerns that are facing the Muslim community because I want to read this little portion because I think the economic boycott is something, the economic boycott of Muslims is something that is so important. It might, in many ways, be the most important aspect of discrimination against Muslims in India, but it doesn't get the same attention because it isn't as extreme as like the lynchings that happened, right? But it is something that will stunt like generations, right? It's a slow burn. So here's an example. So this is from a very well-written article in Al Jazeera. And I know Al Jazeera, blah, blah, blah. No, this is just...
Oh, no, Talia.
I know, I shouldn't have said my source. So it's a worrying trend. Nearly 46% of Muslims are self-employed in urban India, the largest as compared with any other community, according to the data from the government's National Sample Survey Organization, or NSSO, in 2013. The report adds that Muslims are the poorest among all religious groups in India and are concentrated in low-paying jobs in the informal sector. Jeremy Seabrook and Imran Ahmed Siddiqui, in their book People Without History, India's Muslim Ghettos, have documented a gradual, quote, de-skilling of the Muslim workforce due to globalization, which has forced them into low-paying jobs. If these frequent incidents of attacks on Muslim livelihoods are seen, quote, in consonance with some policy measures which the BJP government has taken in different states in the past few years, then it is a worrying trend indeed. Yeah, I think that really puts it into a larger context as well, because in many ways this also becomes like a class issue.
Yeah. Also, if you keep boycotting the Muslim community and you encourage more, you cause more poverty in that community, you are the source of the radicalization.
Literally.
You are directly radicalizing.
You're promoting self-segregation. That's the best way to get radicals.
Yeah, you're isolating them. Like, oh my God, look, they have radicals. Like, yeah, well, you made them. you caused it. Poverty causes radicalization. Radicalization causes poverty. If you add more poverty to this cycle, you're gonna get radicalization from the other end. Like, anyways, but do you wanna? There's two comments that we want to highlight. Well, you highlighted this one.
Oh, Forever Stormy is saying there needs to be a campaign against Islamophobia. Islam deserves all the criticism that it gets. That said, this particular organization is a conservative group, so they probably care more about Islam.
Oh,
yes,
man.
And this is also something I think about. So I'm not trying to, when we talk about these issues, I'm not trying to endorse any particular group. Like for this news, I wanted to just use it as a starting point for like an interesting discussion.
It's actually true because here's another thing. Sometimes it's like, hey, Muslims, we don't want to. We want to defend Muslims. We only fighting Islam. We will defend your rights. We'll just criticize your religion. And then some of them are like, well, you don't understand. We don't care about our rights. We care about Islam. We're like, hey, we'll like that's actually a higher priority for us. Like, like I asked Muslim, like, hey, I'm gonna insult your prophet, but I'll protect your rights. I will speak with you to protect your lives, to protect you from discrimination, from abuse. I like, we don't, and sometimes I hear back and like, we don't care about abuse. We are supposed to be abused. We're Muslims. Like that's literally what they say. Like, God will protect us from abuse. Who are you, Armin? You can't protect us from abuse. We rely on God for that. Our job is to protect Muhammad. Muhammad's honor is more important to us than our lives. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So, you're not the kind of Muslim I can speak to.
I'm sorry for interrupting what you got going on there. My bad. Whoopsie-doo.
And here's another comment.
Oxymoron is saying, even if it is anti-Muslim bigotry, no special considerations. Danger from policies outweigh benefits from it. I think Oxymoron is referring to like crafting particular laws to address this community.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I mean, okay, so in some countries you can come up with specific laws that protect certain communities because you need an extra interest, extra focus on that, right? generally you would assume that laws that are generally protecting everybody should be good enough as long as they're executed. I do see in some other countries symbolically coming up with some laws to put extra attention on some people who are being targeted. But again, in India, I don't know if that will. I don't think in India that would. That in India, that might cause more misuse than use. So I think I might agree with oxymoron, but I need more information to be able to. Yeah.
Well, that's why we were saying earlier, like, let's look at what's already on the books and let's work towards in equal enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that seems to be a hard ask in India right now, but yeah, that's.
I mean, it can be. It's a hard ask in like.
In many places.
In many places.
Yes.
It's all right, an ideal that we continue to push for.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can.
Next news.
Next news. Harassment of French teen for her anti-Muslim video leads to 6 convictions. On May 26th, 6 people were convicted for harassment due to their threats directed towards a French teenager known as Mila because of videos she made speaking against Islam. The sentencing ranges from 3 to 4 months suspended prison terms and house arrest. The ages of the convicted range from 19 to 39. They were each ordered to pay 3,000 euros in damages to Mila. The attacks started in 2020 after Mila did a live broadcast on her Instagram speaking about her sexuality. During this stream, she was insulted by a Muslim commenter using homophobic slurs and invoked Allah to condemn her. Mila replied by stating that she hated religion and that the Quran was full of hate. The threats were so prevalent that she needed to accept police protection and change schools. In 2021, law enforcement arrested 5 people for making death threats to Mila. 13 more were accused, with 11 of them being convicted the same year. So this means that in total, this case has resulted in 17 convictions.
Wait, what country is this again?
France.
Damn. I wish I was in France. I would be rich if I could make 3,000 euros from every person that abused me.
Right?
I could retire right now. Jesus Christ. Like if I should have collected every single threat that I have gotten. But I mean, they're not from, I mean, even if I was in France, the threats are not from France. So that wouldn't work out. Oh my God, this is amazing. This, by the way, this happened a while back. Like the reason why we're
2 years ago.
2 years ago. The reason why we're reporting on this right now is because the sentencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what else? Like, so they have to pay 3,000 euros. Anything else, or do they get any?
Some of them got either suspended prison terms, for time already served, or were put on house arrest. Like numerous ones of them have to wear like ankle monitoring to so the government can freaking track their location, and they also have to pay damages.
Look at her satisfaction. Is this coming out of the court? Look at her smile. She looks very satisfied with the result. It must be very painful for these people to pay this because they hated her so much that they said those vile words to her, right? But now they have to pay her, right? So they're like, it's not just like they're paying a fine to the government. They literally have to pay the person that they are.
I know they have to pay her. Oh my God, it's so juicy.
They must be so disgusted by the fact that the money is going to her. How many people are paying her 3,000 euros?
So in this most recent round of convictions, it was 6. Now, previously, last year, there had been 11 convictions for like the harassment and threats against her. I don't know if those previous ones from last year also included damages.
I bet you she's thinking like, damn, I wish more people. I wish there were more of you. Like, come on,
I
come at me.
don't know because
obviously it's not fun to be living in the same country where people who literally want to like do certain things to you that I don't want to say on the stream. But yeah,
remove your head from your body. Yeah. Well, I don't know, because like she's had to move multiple times. She's had to switch schools multiple times. Like that amount of money probably doesn't even scratch the surface of the amount of expense that has gone into just protecting her safety over the past 2 years. Not to mention attorney's fees.
Well, I'm sure that they cover that. Doesn't it cover? I don't know. It was Forever Stormy.
Who would cover it?
This one? Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's France. Don't they cover everything?
What?
The France the government covers everything. The government covers, like, when you get pregnant, they cover like a nanny for, like, I don't know what they cover. I don't know how much of it is real or not, but the government covers so many things for you. But anyways, what is this?
Forever Stormy is saying, if Armin wants cash, he should go to Silicon Valley and rile up the Hindutvas over there. They are usually in the upper income bracket. Armin can retire a rich man.
Hey, don't give me ideas. Here's another comment.
Dia's calling it the Islamophobe fund.
Yeah, Islamophobe. Yeah, throwing up it as well. All right.
Very gratifying. I think it's very gratifying to see like someone who faced so much like danger and stress and frankly trauma over like being a public critic of Islam, like to have the government, you know, secure this for them.
Yeah.
I love to see it. I love to see it. I'm like, yes, protect her rights. Yes, say it's unacceptable for you to do this to a child. Like, I think it's easy for us to praise her. And because even after the first firestorm, she came out again the second time harder, particularly specifically against Islam. But I think one thing that gets lost when we talk about this story is that she was 16 when this happened. And then the remainder of her adolescence was caught up in this. Like, I've had to deal with a lot of abuse since, you know, starting to do what I do here. And I would, if I had to go through that when I was 16, I wouldn't be here at all. So I think like people need to remember that she was like a child when she was being abused in this way. It's crazy. And she can never get that back. And like, that's going to impact her for the rest of her life. Because I know the way that what I've gone through has impacted me. Like, I treat people differently. Like, I don't know. You know, I don't trust people the same way. You know? And I've gone through a fraction of what she's gone through as an adult. I don't know. I have a lot of sympathy for her.
That's a good point. Well, here, read this one.
Doorknob Head is saying, on the plus size, I bet she's developed into one bad arse biatch warrior queen. Cup half full.
Yeah, good thing. And then this one.
Nihilist Antinatalist is calling the damages funds reverse jizya. This is the funniest comment. When Thought Skeptic is saying 16, not a child. Don't you know she's been an adult for 7 years?
That's a good one. All right, but this is also a good one. Exposed. Oh wait, before we actually read this one, so people might not know that was a reference to Aisha being an adult by age 9 in Islam. So people...
Yeah, I don't understand what this comment is in reference to.
Okay, Exposed is saying that. Well, I said in France they cover everything, right? And Exposed is saying they cover everything except head with hijab. That's a good one. And here's another Exposed comment.
That's hilarious. Armin's money from blasphemy. I mean,
no, I highlighted this one to promote our Patreon because like this is like we are already making money from blasphemy, guys. We have very, very beautiful blasphemous art, which is the nude version of them are only available on our Patreon. We make new ones every week. So, and a lot of them, and you guys don't know about them because YouTube doesn't even let us post the censored version of it on our community tab anymore. So you guys, we have so much good art. You have to see them, and they're so juicy and they're so sexy, and they're very, very more than sexy. They're blasphemous. Okay, if you want to see all of that, make sure you become a patron. Link in the description. I should have turned on more lights. It's dark here. Should I go turn on my lights?
I think you look fine.
Okay. Secular rarity saying great points, Susanna.
Thank you.
All right. Can we clap for the next news? India and Christianity. Okay, next. Okay. Next news.
Next news. Indian martyr declared saint by Vatican for anti-caste activism. So I found this very interesting. On May 16th, Pope Francis declared, forgive me on this name, guys, Deva Sahayam. So Pope Francis declared Deva Sahayam a saint, thus making him the first Indian layman to be canonized. Deva Sahayam, also known as Lazarus, was born into an upper caste Hindu family in 1712 in the South Indian town of Kanyakumari. Born with the name Nilakandan Pillai, he served as a treasurer in the royal palace of King Marathanda Varma when he met a Dutch naval commander who introduced him to Catholicism. The officer shared the story of Job from the Old Testament, which touched Pillai on a personal level as he, much like Job, was struggling at the time with a string of family tragedies. The story moved him to convert to Christianity, drop his caste name Pillai, and take on the name Deva Sahayam, which in Tamil translates to, quote-unquote, God has helped. He fought against caste discrimination and advocated for social equality. His conversion was seen as treason against the kingdom, which led to his imprisonment in 1749. He spent the remainder of his life there, where he was ultimately shot and killed in 1752. Deva Sahayam was chosen for sainthood by the Vatican after a woman claimed her unborn child, who had been declared quote-unquote medically dead, started moving again after praying to him in 2013. So, two little explainers. When I say that he was the first Indian layman to be canonized, that means layman in Catholic terms means that you are not a priest, you're not a deacon, you're not part of the clergy at all. You are just a Catholic. You're just a typical Catholic. That's called the layman. Canonized is the process of becoming a saint. And in terms of why are you suddenly talking about a lady praying to him and then suddenly her baby was alive again? So one of the criteria to become a saint in the Catholic Church is that you have to have a miracle attributed to you, meaning that through someone praying to you, the power of Christ goes through you as a saint and creates a miracle for that person. And so that was the miracle that earned him the title of saint.
Don't they have investigators that has to verify that it was a miracle? Isn't that something that the church does before they accept somebody as a saint?
Yes, but that whole idea is very suspicious to me.
No, you don't say.
I'm skeptical.
No, but I'm just wondering, how are they investigating a miracle that has happened like 300 years ago?
So the miracle that happened in 2013. Quote unquote miracle.
Wait, so this is what passes as a miracle? A baby was, what was the miracle exactly?
So this woman had a pregnancy that was quote unquote medically dead. And then when she prayed to Deva Sahayam, suddenly the fetus came alive.
So you can become a saint because even if you didn't do a miracle during your life, you had to do a miracle after you do miracle. You can do miracles
through your intercession, through the intercession of that saint. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of saints like that, Armin. But like they were dead
But
hundreds of years ago.
I thought the way you okay, so why was she calling out his name if he wasn't a saint already to begin with? You could call out people's name without them being saints already, just random dudes that happen to be Christian, Catholic. They're like, oh, you're not a saint. Hey, like, so if you were like a Catholic, Susie, like, could I just like call out your name if I wanted my, child, my pet not to die, for example? Like I would like, oh, Susie saves my pet.
I would intercede for you. Yes, I would.
Wait, you don't have to reach sainthood first. I just have to call out the name of a dead Catholic, and then if that happens, so that you do intercede, then you could become a saint.
So most commonly, you're already a saint. That's the most common.
Oh, so the Catholic Church confirms you as a saint, not like they don't make you a saint. They were like, oh, you were always a saint. We just didn't know it. We're just confirming it right now. Is that's what's happening? It's just official. Oh, okay. So like people before the Vatican, from popularity, from it's popular to consider somebody to be a saint. So then, therefore, random people keep praying to that guy, and eventually, the Vatican, if they put their sample of, this is clever marketing. This is so clever marketing. This is just like you see a movement grow up around a group of people, and for Vatican to remain relevant among the group of people, they're like, hey, it's a nice saint you have there. Wouldn't the Vatican's relevance be reminded to you if we officially recognize this person that you recognize as a saint, for us to be in our books as a saint? Like, wouldn't you like be grateful to the Pope? And like, this is very clever marketing. This is a very win-win like propaganda as well, right? So for example, a community wants to make itself more relevant and be recognized officially by the larger Catholic community as an important group of people. So they make somebody a legend in the community. They like prompt that person up as a saint, right? So this is like a transaction between that community and the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is like looking at the group of people, like these are a large group of people that would like us even more if we recognize their saint. So, and that group of people are like, hey, our churches will probably get more funding. Our priests will probably become higher priests if all of a sudden they're associated with this saint from this community. You know what I mean? So this is like a contract between the franchisor and the franchisee. This is all very, very clever.
Of it in terms of like survival of the meme. Like this is a very convenient way to like subsume a meme that is already successful. And so he already had a very large following both during his lifetime and afterwards, particularly among Dalit and Adivasi communities. Like he led, I think, some mass conversions and stuff, which is partially why they thought of him as treasonous. And there were a few other instances that happened surrounding him that I don't know if they counted in the miracles towards his canonization, but there was a stone where he like knelt to pray, where apparently there's like lots of Christian or Catholic myths about this, where like the power of his prayer was so great that it left a permanent mark in the stone on which he prayed. So there's like a shrine dedicated to him where you can go see this stone that has his like imprint on it, supposedly.
Yeah. Does this get any Hindu reactions from India? Especially, this guy used to be a Hindu, then turned into Christian. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, he was an upper caste Hindu, and then he dedicated the rest of his life freeing people from caste oppression.
All right, so would this cause any tensions between the Hindu community and the Catholic Church if they're highlighting somebody who was fighting Hindu doctrine?
I think. Maybe not fighting Hindu doctrine so much as promoting conversion. That's where the real, that's where the real hot point comes in. And this is, so a lot of people were like, either members of the local Christian community were saying that this comes at an important time because we have seen such an explosion of violence against Christians in India, particularly over the past year. not even the past year, like since in the past 7 months. And so they think that it's a very important time to highlight what's going on for their community. And this is one way to get more attention on it. So they appreciated that. But what I thought was really interesting was of the people who voted him in, they were going to call him Devashahayam Pillai. And there were people who were outraged. They're saying, why are you using his caste name? If you're going to canonize him, you have to drop his caste name. That defeats the whole purpose of everything that he was about. So they successfully pushed to get Pillai, his high caste name, dropped from the official recognition of him. I think in terms of Hindu reactions, it's like another reminder of this history of conversion, which is obviously something that they really dislike, particularly because he was in charge of several mass conversions, I believe. It's kind of inconvenient in the way that it reminds them of a historical push against Hinduism, a historical push or motivation to leave Hinduism. And a lot of that motivation does come from caste oppression.
Right. We got a super chat, which reminds me we didn't add this video to our fundraiser, but thank you so much. Here, let me highlight it. Thank you, Varun, for the $5 super chat. Do you want to read this?
It's kind of nice though. I missed the super chats. I missed the messages from the super chats. Varun thank you for the $5, Varun. He's saying Hinduism is institutionalized slavery to caste Brahmin domination. Hinduism caste pyramid is a Ponzi scheme which needs the maximum number of people at the base for it to work.
It is a scheme. I don't know if it's a Ponzi scheme, but it is a scheme. Yes, I agree with that.
More pyramid than Ponzi.
Yes.
If we're getting technical.
Because Ponzi would
be about moving these resources around.
No, both pyramid and Ponzi schemes has a limited ability for people to come from the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid, right?
Yes.
And so, but the caste system doesn't do that. But it is a scheme. I agree with that. But thank you for the super chat. Also, do you want to read some? Okay, so Anonymous All is saying this is so absurd. And then Doorknob is like, absurd is kind of what this channel is all about.
Oh, there was another good comment. So, this is a great comment from Secular Rarity, because people who are not familiar with Catholicism, this is probably like very confusing to you. So Secular Rarity is saying, yes, Armin, to talk about the standard of quote unquote miracles and how they're investigated. Yes, Armin, someone held a picture of Mother Teresa to their chest and it, quote, cured their heart problems. And that was part of Mother Teresa's canonization. That was part of her path to sainthood. So this is the standard we're talking about here.
Unbelievable. Okay, that's crazy.
So this story gave me an interesting excuse to talk about canonization. And also I thought it was interesting to see the Catholic Church acknowledge like this anti-caste figure in India.
The thing is that they have, I saw a documentary like years ago about the way that they had investigators and they try to make it seem like it's very, very, like they do their due diligence. They have like, they go and send like proper investigators and they look for evidence and it's like very systematic, very scientific. So they make it seem like that, but it's obviously not. Yeah.
Fervor Stormy is saying, I feel like this all has more to do with the Pope's impending visit to India. That may play into this. Very good point, Stormy.
Very good point.
This made me laugh. Fervor Stormy is saying, Susanna watching Armin Catholico-splaining is a sight.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just like,
all right.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Do we clap for an wait? Why is this news white? I need to make it dark. My eyes. There we go. Can we clap for the next news? Oh yeah, true. Susanna is Shia.
Higgs Boson is saying Susanna's a Shia, anyways.
True. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, this is Very wild and interesting.
Okay, next news.
Next news. Muslim politician eats spit of quote-unquote untouchable priest in message of unity. To spread a message of brotherhood, Zamir Ahmed Khan, a Muslim politician and member of Legislative Assembly, or MLA, from Karnataka, fed food to a Dalit, meaning the outcast group previously known as Untouchables, a Dalit priest, and then asked the priest to spit it out, which he then ate. The video of the gesture has now gone viral. This incident occurred at an event to mark Ambedkar Jayati, a celebration of anti-caste activist, critic of Hinduism, and writer of the Indian Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. A big round of applause followed as Khan consumed the spit of the quote-unquote untouchable priest. Indian social media gave mixed reactions to this gesture that challenged numerous social taboos. Some thought it was over the top, while others appreciated the action, but found it a bit gross.
Wait, so
everyone's like, "Oh, ew."
Wait, so so okay, so explain to me this: the priest is a Dalit,
yes,
and the man is what?
He's a Muslim politician, or a politician who happens to be Muslim.
So for people who don't know what Dalits are not just the lowest caste, they're outcasts, right? They're the untouchables in India, like they're the bottom in the caste hierarchy. They're so outside of the caste hierarchy that they're considered not touchable. That's how, again, I don't want to say more because YouTube might think I'm saying that, right? So this Muslim politician, to show how much they're not untouchable, they're like, I eat your spit. That's how not untouchable you are, right? Do you want to see the video? Wait, you sent me the video. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it's in the show notes. Okay, here we go.
Wait, do we want to do with audio? Yeah, let's do with audio.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, let's do this. Brace yourselves. Wait, there's no audio. Hold on. There's no audio. Wait, there's no audio. Anyways, I think it's good enough.
So what happens is, first, the politician Khan, he like gives the Dalit priest some food, and the priest is going to go give him some food, and he said, "No, like I want it out of your mouth. Like that's what the one I want." And people cheer. Oh my god, it's so gross when you watch it. But okay, so I thought this was really interesting. Well, one, because it is a bit over the top. But this is actually breaking like multiple social taboos. At first, I thought it was just the Dalit thing, right? But then I realized that not only is it breaking the taboo of, it goes beyond looking at a Dalit. It goes beyond eating food cooked by a Dalit. We're going to the level of eating the spit of a Dalit, right? So it's challenging untouchability to like the nth degree. But then I realized that this is also challenging the Muslim or Islamic taboo of najis. Because technically, even if this man wasn't a Dalit, it would still be quote unquote unclean for a Muslim to eat food cooked by a non-Muslim, let alone spit from another person's mouth or you know, food from his mouth. Like a little baby bird, you know, like the mama chews it and the baby eats it.
Oh, it's good. Okay. People say they can't watch. Let me stop this.
Yeah, just please pause it. Anyway, so I thought this was very interesting. What do you think about this, Armin?
All right, so that's very interesting, because in Hinduism you have that you can't eat food prepared by the Dalits, and in Islam, food prepared by non-Muslims or anything that touches non-Muslims is dirty, spiritually dirty for you to eat, right? So this is breaking two taboos at the same time, but the most important taboo that they shouldn't be breaking is spreading germs, okay? Especially at an era where we're dealing with a pandemic. Okay, that's one taboo you shouldn't be breaking. I encourage those other taboos being broken, but this is a taboo that I endorse, I support. Okay, not spreading your germs. Okay, this is not good. Like, are they not breaking like anti-pandemic regulations? That's a good law. Okay, so your Islamic rules are nonsense. I'm glad you're breaking them. Your Hindu rules are nonsense. I'm glad you're breaking them. Okay, but rules around not spreading germs, okay, those are sensible. You shouldn't be breaking them. You should be keeping those. And was there no other way? Was there no other gesture? I am triggered because they're doing this right under the name of Dr. Ambedkar. I don't think Dr. Ambedkar would approve this. Look at this. Like his picture is right there. Like, this is like blasphemy against our holy doctor, our secular doctor.
Okay, the Ambedkar blasphemy. Yeah, so I follow like pretty much every mainstream India news source on Instagram, and so I kind of like to gauge the reaction of people in India, like from what I see in the interactions on these pages online. And that was, Armin, that was pretty much the exact same reaction of most people when this was posted on Instagram. They're like, okay, this is nice and all, but like, we have some like public health rules nowadays. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, is it nice? Yeah, I mean, if this is your kink, by the way, I didn't mean it like that. I'm not trying to kink shame anybody, right? If you're like, I know a lot of people are into spit exchanging. Maybe like, if okay, so if you want to do that, go get tested, maybe both of you before. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm almost sure that these people were not didn't go get tested and everything before they did this. Okay, there are ways for you to do that kink, whatever that is, and keep it healthy and safe. You know, we did get a super chat.
Wait, no, I want to address that at the end because
I will address that at the end. Okay.
So one thing I do want to say is that the reason why I continue to use the word untouchable in our titles or in the ways that I talk about these things when we're doing the news summaries is I know that untouchable is a politically incorrect term, but outside of India, Dalit is not a term that most people know or like would identify with. But if they hear untouchable, they're like, oh, I know what that means. I understand a little bit more of the social like location, and they understand the relevance of the story more. So, like I said, I know it's not the right term to use, or most people don't appreciate the use of that term, but
I'm in favor of you.
For the sake of more people actually reading the news and getting the story, I use it because I think it would actually
no. Even I think untouchable is a great word because it disgusts people. When you tell people that these are the untouchables, right? You're doing a better job at shaming the practice, shaming the association, shaming the hierarchy, shaming the caste system, right? Mm-hmm. Like it highlights it highlights how disgusting of an ideology it is to deem certain people untouchable. I think it's wonderful to call it by that name because it causes the proper response that you need to have to that idea, to that mentality. I think. Anyway, that's what I think.
That's a very interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Flip it on its head. Okay, so let's go to some comments. Forever Stormy is saying, ew, it doesn't matter what the spirit of the gesture was. Just hug it out, guys.
Hey, no kink shaming.
Okay. Well, funny you should say that because Blank Name is saying kind of kinky.
Blank Name after the news, not right now. Wait, what are the chances? What are the chances that certain people that are into this is their kink? They're like, hey, let's do this more. That's like, actually, I'm completely in support of us showing this gesture to more people, and then use this as
I would like to promote this kind of behavior. Oxymoron is saying he should have kissed him. It would signal to the LGBTQ community too. I feel like oxymoron. I think you're saying that a little bit cynically, you know, like, oh, this is a political ploy, but I'm going to full-heartedly say yes.
Yeah.
Unabashedly. Yes.
Oh my god.
Do you think this comment from Kanye Baba is too sensitive for YouTube?
We could say, we could call it, yeah, it's funny. Let's use the Rona name.
Yeah. Kanye Baba is saying, that's how we Indians produce new Rona variants.
Oh no. Okay, let's do the super chat and then go to the next news.
Okay, so this super chat from Varun is tagging on to what he said with his last super chat about the Ponzi scheme. So to our editor, like, cut this part out. Varun is saying, oh, first of all, thank you for another $5, Varun.
Yes, thank you.
Varun is saying pyramid is an important part of the caste structure. Number of exploiters, Brahmins at the top is less than those being exploited. Otherwise, Ponzi won't work.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I don't know if I agree with the Ponzi part of it, but it certainly is a pyramid. Yeah. Of course.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm just being pedantic. Okay, so pyramid schemes are used for naming schemes not just because they're pyramid-like, but there's also certain. I mean, there are a lot of schemes that might look like a pyramid, but are not pyramid schemes, right? So a pyramid scheme specifically requires other things other than looking like a pyramid for it to be a pyramid scheme. But that's being too pedantic. Let's just call it a pyramid scheme. It's fine. Okay. But
we know what you mean.
Yes.
We're just being sticklers for the details.
Yes.
Because
all right,
we are annoying like that. Anyways.
All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
You're so cute. Next news. The ex-Muslim threatened with death and how he found out from the FBI. So I wanted to highlight the fact that we recently talked to Azad Farsani. For those who do not know, Azad Farsani is an Iranian American who is a fairly prominent, especially in Persian-speaking communities, critic of Islam. And he is an exiled scholar from Iran who was ousted from the country after being interrogated by the authorities for for his anonymous writings in which he would criticize the regime online, dissect and criticize Islam. And recently, he was threatened. There were credible threats against him, and the FBI actually contacted him to inform him of these threats against him. And Azad has been a frequent guest on the Persian side of Atheist Republic, and I was like, well, we need to go talk to Azad on, the English side and expose him to more people. So we recently talked to Azad Farsani about this recent incident and also about his background in general. And so I wanted to promote our conversation with him. And Armin, what did you think about our talk with Azad?
I mean, I was wondering why he was targeted specifically, because there's so many Iranians outside of Iran that have shows, YouTube channels, like Telegram groups, Instagram, accounts, Twitter accounts that really go against Islam. But they go against Islam in a way that a lot of people are not used to. Like, they're really, really aggressively anti-Islamic, okay? And so proud of it, right? But I was wondering, because we know this guy and we love him and he does really good work. And I was wondering what made them want to target this guy, right? And again, we don't know if this was like a couple of butthurt individuals, or was this the work of the regime, right? We have no idea, okay? I'm more inclined to think like it was butthurt individuals, because I don't know, but I don't want to get into why the theories over that. But one reason why he was targeted more than other people, because his most of his work is anti-Islam. Gebasi Ali-Najad was targeted as well, but she is like really heavily political, anti-regime. She anti the regime itself, and she's like one of the most important advocates against the regime. But I was wondering why this man who goes against religion mostly more than the regime, more than, I mean, no, actually he goes against the regime as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, because he has two main things that he does. One, he targets Islam. Secondly, he leads a group of people called Barandas, which like Barandas are like, Barandas is a bigger group, but he has his own group of Barandas people that are specifically against the regime as well. But
Barandas means like topplers,
topplers of the regime. Right. So I came to I think I said it on the show on Secular Jihadist. We invited him as a guest on Secular Jihadist, so make sure you go watch that. We interviewed him. It was really good. But in that show, I mentioned the reason why I think he was specifically targeted is because, first of all, there's two reasons, right? First of all, he was educated by the regime as a person to support not just Islam, but the Islamic Republic's brand of Islam, like the Vilayat al-Fiqh version of Shia Islam, otherwise known as Khomeinism, right? So he was educated by their university specifically as a person to go and spread the Islamic regime's propaganda, the Islamic, the brand of Shia Islam that the regime wants in support of the regime itself, right? So he was he was deep within the circles, and he was in touch with, he was friends, and he rubbed shoulders with some of the highest ranking mullahs close to regime in Iran, right? So for somebody, and he became an atheist while he was still in Iran because of studying Islam. And not only he became an atheist, he became because of his studies of Islam, he became extremely anti-Islamic. Like, he was disgusted by it, right? The more he studied it, right? And he dedicated his entire life to fight that, right? So one reason why this person is particularly sensitive for them is because of his association with people that were supposed to be supporting the thing that he's fighting, and being so close to some people that are extremely sensitive, extremely close to even the office of the supreme leader, right? So it's not just what he says, but who he is. It's such a danger to the regime's propaganda, right? Because if somebody like that could turn against the ideas of the regime, then everybody is a potential lost cause for them, right? The message of, like, so for people like us, when we turn against Islam, they're like, oh, you're lost, you're lost, you don't even know what Islam is, right? You have no idea what you're even talking about. You're not even educated. How could you even, like, you don't even understand Islam? You're an uneducated, ridiculous, somebody that has some emotional something to prove, something we got hurt, like we want to sin, Islam that messes with our lifestyle, we want, things like, they have so many excuses for why we're against Islam, right? But for someone like this, who was trained by them, grew up in their circles, and even was so close to people that are close to the supreme leader, for somebody like that to turn on Islam, his mere even without his message, his mere existence is a threat to the regime, right? A second reason why I assume, and these are just guesswork, I don't know why was more offensive to people than the rest of us, is because he ties in his anti-Islam narrative work, and he does it in a scholarly way. Like, he doesn't just like read, like his education was around Islam, right? So when he criticizes Islam, it comes across as very academic. And there's two kinds of people in the Iranian circles, where they're the scholars who criticize and fight against Islam, and they speak very politely, very academically. And then there's a whole bunch of people that are like, use the most insulting terms against Islam, and they're like separate from scholars, right? But one unique thing about them is that he criticizes Islam in a scholarly way, and then he says the most profane, discussing and insulting words against Islam at the same time.
It's
so
awesome.
it's like he does it both. So people cannot be like, oh, you're using these words, you're an uneducated fool who uses such foul language. Like
he's like, I went to a Masonic university. Check my credentials.
I know, because he has very, very academic lectures, but then he uses profound, some very, very harsh language at the same time. So put them together, like he attracts a kind of audience where we can't attract. Like a lot of Muslims can know that when he's speaking, the way that he comes from them. So he's attracting those Muslims because they're listening to somebody speak in a way they usually hear in a religious sermon or something like that. Like he recites the Quranic verses and the hadiths in the best Arabic, and refers to tafsirs and hadiths in a way that you think like an imam would. And then all of a sudden starts swearing in the most vile way against Islam. So it's just so confusing to the mind, you know what I mean? But at the same time, he uses that and pivots to completely dismissing the legitimacy of the regime from its very core, because the legitimacy of the regime rests upon Islam. So usually other people who attack the regime, they attack it in a political way, right? But because he's attacking the very core of the regime, which is its Islamic, its legitimacy through being the representative of Islam, I think they sense a bigger danger because unlike political activism against it, it's like cutting the root, and it's being attracted and it's appealing to a certain community of people who the regime relies on for its support, and that's why he's more. I would assume that he's more dangerous than a lot of other people to the regime. So these are my theories, anyways. You guys should go follow. Where can people find this guy, by the way?
Well, first of all, you should go watch our full interview with him, because what Armin said is really just the tip of the iceberg of what we talked about with Azad. We talked, if you want more of the details of what is this mess with the FBI, you can get the details there. Also, if you want to hear more about his background, and Armin and Azad had a very interesting discussion about regime change as well, which I would highly recommend listening to all of this. The name of the episode is "The Ex-Muslim Threatened with Death for Blasphemy and How He Found Out from the FBI." So go search Secular Jihadists, name the title. And I also shared a link in the description. So make sure to check out the full episode. And if you want to find out where you can follow Azad yourself, in the description of the Secular Jihadist episode, you can find all his socials. On Instagram, though, he is Azad Farsani 5. But yeah, it was so nice to talk to Azad. My favorite part, guys, okay, this is the number one reason why you have to go check out this episode, is because at the end, we reviewed videos of Azad when he was a Muslim in university, and then it's contrasted with the rest. He recites a poem, a beautifully written poem in Farsi, but the poem is about all the different ways that he shits on Islam. And at the end of the show, we go through and do a translation of that poem. It was much fun. It was so funny. Yeah, it was a real joy to talk to Azad. So more people should go check it out.
Do you know? What's his Instagram again? By the way,
Azad Farsani 5.
The reason why I think it's 5 is because they keep attacking his Instagram accounts, and they keep taking it down.
It's his fifth account.
It's his 5th account. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we should move to the next news. Do you want to unhighlight this one? Yep, there we go. Okay, cool. All right. I don't have anything to show for the last news, right? You're making an announcement. Okay. Can I clap for this news?
Sure.
Last news.
Susanna taking leave of absence to recover from surgery. So guys, I will not be on Atheist Republic for a little while because I am getting a surgery pretty soon. And so that means that I won't be on the Q&A next week, and we won't have the news show next week. So the next news show will be in 2 weeks, which would be the 12th of no. Excuse me. It would be the 11th of June if you're in North America, and then it would be the 12th if you're outside of North America. So yeah, next news is in 2 weeks. I'm hoping that I only need 1 week to recover. I think I'll be fine, and we can just resume the news after 2 weeks. But yeah, I won't be here for a little while, guys, and I'll miss everyone.
Where can people send best wishes? Where can they do that? Under this video, like maybe.
Oh, that would be nice. You can contact me on Instagram, which link is in the description, or my email is Susanna@atheistrepublic.com. One of my friends said that I should set up like a virtual. You can do like a virtual card, like an e-card.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'll post a link to it on the community tab.
Oh, that'd be so sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll come back as soon as I can, guys. But I will just read.
Okay, we have some sweet messages.
I gotta go take
Anonymous. I was saying, miss you, Susanna. People are already missing you, and you haven't got.
Oh, I'm still here.
Secular Rarity saying. By the way, I am gonna be doing the Q&As though, so that's gonna still happen. Secular Rarity saying, stay well, Susanna, and take all the time you need to recover. Blank Name is saying, get well, Susanna. I will miss. Shake is saying, I will miss you. Oxymoron is saying, take care. Oh, DSA AR fans, you're missing out if you aren't subscribed to Secular Jihadists. Oh, that's yes, guys, true. Go subscribe to Secular Jihadists. Scruffy is saying, we will miss you. Love you. Oh, okay. This one is good. Yeah.
Doorknob is saying, no, don't leave us alone with Armin. Can we at least have a Susanna effigy and Susanna's hat?
Oh my god.
Wait, I have the perfect idea. Guys, you're not even ready for this reveal. Oh, wait, no, I can't show this.
You can't? Well, let's discuss this maybe later. I don't even know what you want to show. Oh my god.
What if we just sit this instead?
Wait, but put that away. This is risky. What if you're okay? Don't put that away. That was. I can't believe you actually showed that to people. Oh no.
What if it was just that instead of me and there's still a microphone?
Oh no. Okay.
You're like, I like this Susanna so much more. She talks way less.
Puya is saying, hope it all goes well, Susie. Okay. There's so many messages. I'm going to read them fast. Okay, I'm going to read them. Wait. It's not the same without Susie. Somebody saying, I don't support jihad. Guys, that's not the same kind of jihad that you guys secular jihad. Saying Miss Chai saying I think we're all gonna definitely miss Susanna. Oh, this is the reaction to the Armin. PK saying Armin is boring. Yes, that's a wife. Susanna. I'm so proud of you that you actually show that to people. Hot. Michael saying hot. I'm actually very proud of you. That's great.
I can't believe I did that. It was too good to not do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, we have to get going. Thank you for all your messages. Leave more messages in the comment section once the stream is over, and make sure you like and subscribe. And yes, please also go subscribe to the Secular Jihadist YouTube channel. And subscribe to our newsletter because we send you the safe for work version of our blasphemous art for free every week to everybody who is subscribed to our newsletter. So make sure you subscribe over there. All right. All right.
The other side of that pillow is way more graphic too.
Yeah, don't bring that. It's risky. What if it falls and it shows on the screen and then we lose our channel?
Oh my god.
All right, guys. Bye.
Wait, before you end, are you going to do any Hinduism streams next week?
Yes, I will.
Yay! Okay.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.